I'm delighted to recommend Disciple on behalf of the British Methodist Church. It is a resource proven for its effectiveness, its quality and its theological diversity.
Disciple is about becoming disciples through Bible study. You get to study the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelation across a 34-week journey of exploration.
This just seemed to be the golden opportunity to actually delve into those parts of the Bible that I'd never had an opportunity to either read or hear.
People came in with different ideas, and in some instances I never thought of that, and so the various views that were shared, that was really beneficial to me and my growth as a Christian.
The Bible came to life because there was that experience there from different people.
The whole genealogy thing, it's just a list of names is how I normally look at it, and I don't normally read it because I think it's got nothing, but it's like, actually, I know about these people now. I've gone through the whole of the Old Testament and I know where all these people fit in, and I just find it really exciting.
But the aim isn't just to know more about the scriptures. It's an opportunity to make connections between life, faith and the scriptures. People who've done the Disciple course tell us that it has made them more confident in their faith and inspired them to get more involved in mission and ministry in the church and the world.
For me personally, it's helped me to approach the Bible in a different way, like to actually, when I'm reading, to study the Bible as I'm reading, to enable me to ask questions, because that's really what the Disciple course, try to encourage us to do.
I work as a social worker, and I find it very difficult to speak about my faith within that context because there are so many restrictions and boundaries. So while I can live it, I can't necessarily explain why I'm doing what I'm doing with the people I'm working with, and I think that perhaps I have a call to bring those two together a bit more, and that's something I'm starting to explore at the moment because of what I gained from Disciple, really.
I don't mind talking about it now. For some reason before I was always reluctant or reticent about talking about it. Now I'm prepared, and I'm amazed at the good reception one gets from it. Actually, people are very receptive, even though they're not necessarily church themselves. They're very receptive to listening about why you believe and where your thoughts are.
I do find it easier to stand up for my faith and to speak about my faith and say, I have a teenage son, and we do get into quite some discussions at the moment and say, well, I do this because I'm a Christian, because I believe that this is the right thing to do, or I don't do this because I believe that that's not what God wants me to do. And I feel more confident about taking that stance, I suppose.
More awareness of my life in line with God's calling and my day-to-day life as a Christian.
I've been exploring a call to preach, and doing Disciple has actually given me the confidence to respond to that call.
And along with two other friends from our Disciple course, we are now leading the next Disciple course here in Exeter, which is exciting and daunting, but we've got God on our side, so it'll be fine.
Another thing I thought, what else can I do that uses my gifts that I have? And like I've said, I do actually do baking, I make cakes, and I thought there's a lot of people that come up and say, oh, I can't do anything like that. So what I'm going to do is, we've got a fantastic kitchen here at the church, and I'm actually going to start a baking course where people from the surrounding area, people from the church, we can meet, we can bring our own ingredients, and we can all say, right, okay, this week I will show you how to make Victoria sponges, and next week someone else from the group will come along and say, right, okay, I'll show you how to do quiches, and we'll all actually help each other and help the people from this area to meet, another reason to come into the church, and help people with the baking side.
Here's how it works. Your study manual sets out a plan of daily reading of about 30 to 45 minutes each day in preparation for your weekly group meeting. Study notes give you some helpful background, but also ask you some challenging questions about how you might need to respond to some of the things that you're learning.
The Bible readings were, part and parcel of a daily practice, I think.
I'm not saying I was totally good at doing it every day. There were some days when I did 2 days in one go.
To be honest, it's quite a lot of reading, especially when you're someone in full-time employment and juggling a family. But when I did get through to read all of it in a week, it was good.
For me, I was reading it for the first time, a lot of the stuff, and so sometimes it was a little bit difficult and took longer for me to digest it. But I just paced myself and managed to do it.
Last year I was in hospital 7 times in London for treatment for a lung condition. So I had to fit it in around that. So I basically went to the hospital chapel and took my Bible notes with me. And lots of people in the hospital, doctors and patients and nurses, were asking me about this red book on my bedside table. What is it all about? So of course I was telling them. And so that was my little bit of witness in a hospital.
So yeah, the Bible readings are really important, really significant, but not always easy, but always worthwhile.
The weekly group meeting includes a DVD clip, and this is where you meet the Bible scholars. Session outlines are provided for those who lead disciple groups in a helpful guide. And these have been very carefully thought out to cater for lots of different learning styles and to keep people engaged through discussions and activities. And also, of course, the group prays together each time they meet.
It just became the best part of my week, that every Wednesday I knew we were all going to meet together, discuss what we had learnt, share, pray together if there was anything that we had happened in our lives that week or with people that we knew. We would share a prayer at the end.
The praying together was something that grew. Each week in Disciple, you're invited to note down prayer requests. And that was something that in time we sort of trust each other. We could then say, we prayed for so-and-so last week, how are things there? And they would then respond. And it really started to draw the people together because they started to become interested in each other's lives, as well as the meeting, but actually what else was going on. And I think that was really helpful, and that's something that will continue. As you meet with those people, there's that shared journey in bonding.
It's really important that those wanting to lead a disciple course attend for leader training. This is so that the materials can be used as they're designed to be used, keeping to the philosophy and ethos of Disciple and using an appropriate style of facilitation.
And one of the great things about small groups is the different ways that we work together. So lots of occasions you'd speak to your neighbour for a minute, on other occasions you'd go in form 3s, or you'd break the group into 2, and then you'd come back to individuals again. And that gave people, those who were perhaps more confident and outgoing, they would speak up in the bigger group, but really important to allow those spaces for people to speak with their neighbour, and those who are quieter or perhaps more introverted might then have their opportunity to say something that could then be shared in the wider group. I think that was very important.
I've led disciple groups myself, and in my experience I've found that it takes people to new depths. They really enjoy it, and when it comes to the end they don't want it to stop. Can you imagine people having committed 34 weeks to Bible study and all that reading, saying at the end, when can I sign up for the next one? As a training officer in the Methodist Church, I feel that the work I do in promoting the Disciple course and making people aware of it is likely to bear more fruit than anything else I do.
I think it's hugely helpful to any fellowship or church if you could get everybody on one of these, and that would be really hard, but to get everybody on, you would have people who would be much more confident in their faith, more willing to share their faith, better able to pray together, more knowledgeable of the scriptures. Yeah, I mean, I've seen individuals' lives just transformed. I've seen people who had no confidence. One person's right at the beginning of the course said, I can't do this, it's too much work, and was persuaded by another member of the course to come along and did it, and that person now is going to lead the next course. I mean, that's just brilliant. There's another person who's going to go on to become a local preacher, Somebody else has been training in health and safety so she can teach people how to cook, bake cakes. There was another really telling moment. A colleague of mine came up to me at his church. He said there are 4 people who have come to him who are really enthusiastic about doing stuff in the church. They want to get involved in more. And he said it was really lovely to see these people, and he didn't know why. And then suddenly he realised that all 4 of those people have been on Disciple.